Okay, so now my first ever video chat on our Giants, and I'm really, really excited that Joey Marciano has agreed to come join me. Thanks so much for coming on, Joey. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be on, Roger. It's a pleasure.
How are you surviving in the coronavirus days?
Chicago is a little bit of a hard-headed city. Like people don't like to listen. We've had some pretty nice days, like these past couple of days. So people have been out, and like people haven't really been following the rules. But like personally, for me, not been too bad. Just trying to stay safe and just stay under the weather a little bit. So things have been going pretty well.
That's excellent. So Joey was the Giants' 36th round pick, I believe, in 2017 out of Southern Illinois. So you're a
Oh
Saluki.
yeah, yeah.
Were you in Sam Coonrod? Did you overlap a year, or did he leave right before you were there?
He left right before I was there. Like I've met him, like I knew of him, like while I was there in Southern Illinois, but he
Uh-huh.
was before me.
So your first year in Augusta was pretty successful, but then last year in 2018, you actually walked away from the game, which I assume was a pretty tough decision for you. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of led you to that place?
Yeah, it was like it's a decision that like a lot of baseball players don't want to come to, but I had some things that were going on off the field that needed my attention, so I wasn't really having my head on the game during the time. It was hard for me to focus in, so I needed to take some time away. But now that like my head's clear and things are like on the right path again, like I'm ready to get back to it. And I've kind of talked to the Giants a little bit about that, and they understand my situation, and they were nice enough to give me a second to come back, which I'm more than humbled by that situation. So I'm really looking forward to when it's time to step it back up again.
Yeah, and that's not the first time I can think of where a player's been in almost the exact same situation. Joe Nathan pretty famously walked away. There was a player who I'm blank on him for a second, who actually walked away for about 3 or 4 years, and they let him come back, and he's been in the organization for several years.
Right.
Right. In between then and now, we've seen you on Twitter kind of blowing up radar guns. It seems like you have added quite a bit of velocity to your pitching repertoire from the last time we saw you in the Giants organization. What's that process been like? Who have you been working on? What have you been doing to get there?
Honestly, it's been a little crazy. Like I have like this little net that I keep in the trunk of my car, like this little portable net, and 4 or 5 times a week I'll just go and throw, and like I'll just throw into it. I started doing these running guns, and I figured out like how to get my momentum going on the running guns, and I was able to get up to like 98 or 99 on those. And I was just thinking like, how can I get like the same amount of force, the same amount of power that I'm doing on those running guns on the mound? And I've been trying to like create that same amount of intensity, and it's just been working for me lately. So like I've been doing that, and that's like the main thing. I mean, I've been running and working out and stuff on the side. Obviously gyms are closed, but like I've still been running every day and making sure my craft is still A1. So other than that, I mean, just the running guns, just figuring out how I can translate that power.
That's really interesting. So most of this has been you yourself kind of figuring things out.
Yep.
Were you working on things that like Matt Daniels or some of the group had been talking to you about before, or has this all been you experimenting?
It's kind of a little bit like me experimenting. Like all those guys, Matt Daniels and like Ethan Katz, all of them, they've all been a really good help. Like they've really like taught me a lot of stuff, like and like fine tuning my game. But like this is just like something like saying like how my body works, if that makes sense. Like how I move and seeing how I can maximize how well I can move my body. And those running guns have helped, and I've just been trying to translate it. And so far, it's been working.
That's incredible. Where were you velocity wise the last time you were when you were in San Jose last year?
In the bullpen, I was able to get it up to around 94 usually. I've had some times where it'd be like 88, 92. I'd have games where I'm 92, 94, 91, 93. But for the most part, I would say on average it would be anywhere from around like 90, 93.
So it's good. And then of course the thing you don't know now, so as you're working up here, is like how much you'll be able to sustain velocity through like multiple innings or something like that. You have to kind of get into a game to see how the body keeps it up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, for me personally, I'm a firm believer that it's really hard to like duplicate the like your in-game velo because all your adrenaline running, like there's the scenery, you got your cleats on, your uniform, runners on base, etc. So it's pretty hard to duplicate that, but I try to get it as game-like as possible. But I think like once games pick up and like you get in that like environment, I think it's going to shoot up even more. So we'll see.
That's
That's
awesome.
what I think.
So I'm older than you. This is probably a surprise. The old school way, I feel like, of developing pitchers was to kind of pay attention to trying to get your delivery as clean as possible, to be able to repeat it, clean line to the plate. Basically, it was built around command and control.
Right.
Have the best mechanics to give you command. And I feel like, a lot of the new innovations been going on in baseball the last few years. It's about just pushing velocity as far as it will go, and then letting kind of the command catch up with that. Is that fair in your mind, or is that change is really going on?
So I mean, everybody's got different opinions. Me personally, like, and I've always been told this from like my high school coaches and stuff, that like velocity will get you in the door, but like once you're there, like the name of the game is throwing strikes and locating the ball where you want to put it. Because if you can do both, that's how you have a 10-year major league career. But
Right.
if you only throw hard, then obviously you're going to struggle a little bit. But I would think that, I mean, there is a lot of hype nowadays, like the way the game's going. Like everything is just throw hard, throw hard, throw hard. And I'm a fan of it too. But I mean, as you can see, and how everybody else has seen, like I've learned the hard way too. Like only throwing hard will only get you so far. You got to be able to have command of the strike zone and change speeds. More importantly, otherwise it's going to be a rough day at the ballpark for you.
Yeah, and it's protected. But your breaking ball is a big weapon in your arsenal too. So.
Mm-hmm. A big thing for me personally was getting that changeup down, and I've been throwing that back home now. I've been getting a lot of feel for that. I'd say it's gotten pretty good. So the biggest thing moving forward, so we're not going to have spring training or anything like that. So whenever I get down there, whenever that may be, like the biggest thing is just showing them that I have feel for that changeup, because that's going to be a game changer, especially being a lefty. Having a good changeup keeps them off your fastball.
Yeah. So what now in this pause? Are you in contact with the pitching and development people? What can you do to keep your development on track and be ready to go if whenever something happens?
Well, I haven't really talked to too many people in the front office. I've talked to Kyle Haynes a little bit and Eric Fleming. More recently, Eric Fleming, and he had said that, like, obviously they sent everybody home for the foreseeable future, and that they'll keep in touch with me and let me know whenever it may be that it's time for me to report down to Scottsdale, the facility. But other than that, I've just been making sure that I'm keeping myself to part, and just making sure that I'm like keeping myself in like shape, keep my arm in like baseball shape and stuff like that. Because there's no telling when it can be. It can be in 2 weeks from now. It can be 3 months from now. There's no telling. Hopefully, we do have a season, but it's just making sure that you're always ready, because you don't know when you're going to get that call. So I guess we'll see. But other than that, I've just been keeping in touch with more so Eric Fleming.
Have they given you, I don't know, things they like to see you work on during this time, or talk to you about kind of the mental side that you work on, or any sort of tools to play with while you're on your own?
Not too much right now, to be honest. It was very brief. It was just pretty much saying like that we'll just keep in touch, like when the time is right for everybody to come down and let me know what's going on. But in the meantime, I'm just making sure like I'm holding myself accountable for the things that I need to do.
Yeah, it's tough for the pitcher too, because you always have to worry about the arm staying in shape. It's not like being a hitter where you can.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true.
So I didn't talk about this beforehand with you, but it occurs to me that when I was introducing you, and you were a 36 round pick, we're not going to have a 36th round this year or next year.
Yeah.
It seems likely to me that there may, people like you might not get that opportunity going forward. As the draft may shrink, sadly. And I just wanted to kind of hear your perspective on what it meant for you to kind of get the chance to be drafted, get the chance to come into pro ball.
Well, to be honest, I had to work really, really hard to get the opportunity I was given, and I'm actually like glad that things turned out that way, because I honestly believe that if I was like a really, really high pick, I probably would have went down there a little, I don't want to say complacent, but just kind of like thinking that I would be entitled to receive this and so on, whatever it might be. And I don't think the results would have been the same versus how I went down there being a 36 round pick and show I'm just as good as all these other guys that are out here, and not like, oh, this guy drafted at the bottom. I think he's pretty much shows us. And so it's unfortunate, like, if we do have, like, a draft this year and it's only 5 or 10 rounds, whatever it may be, because you never know what you're going to get in the lower round. Just because a guy's drafted in the 40th round doesn't mean he's going to play to the caliber of a 40th round player, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think that, like, it kind of takes away from, like, the game a little bit, because there's a lot of, like, good talent and guys that have made it to the league that weren't drafted in the first 5 rounds or first 10 rounds. They were drafted, even when there was 50 rounds, guys that were drafted in, like, the 34th round or whatever it may be, and turned out to be studs. Because if I believe, like, Carl Edwards was drafted really, really late, and, like, he made it to the league, and he's established a decent name for himself. So, I mean, it's a little sad, but I mean, what can you do? Like, times like this, like, obviously things change and adjustments have to be made, but all you can do is just hope for the best and
For
keep
sure.
grinding.
So, what do you think? What do you think is in your future now? Where are we gonna see you pitch someday when when games happen again?
You know, I mean, I've been in high A for the past 2 seasons, but I think when I go down there and show them what I have now, I think I will be a strong contender for Double A. Once again, it's not in my hands. I can only control what I can, but I think what I bring to the table will be something that they're going to like. So I'm definitely shooting for Richmond 100%.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, again, I'm so happy you came out and joined me and talked for a few minutes. And I want to wish you all the luck in the world in the future. And I hope that we get to see you sometime soon.
Oh, yeah, no problem, Roger. It's been a pleasure being on here. I greatly appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much, Joey.